All righty. Good afternoon or good morning, whenever you're going to be viewing this. I meant to do this a little bit earlier. There's been a lot of things going on my side of the family a little bit. My oldest daughter's got flu B. We just found out earlier today. So that's always fun, right? With all this crazy weather changing and stuff. And then I picked up another, I have a mini master course. So I have about 6 courses now. But anyway, going to let you know, talk a little bit about Modular 3, or Modular 4, really. And this is really what I need to probably rename this. It's not modular. We already did Modular 3. So see how everything is kind of went kind of crazy. This is really Modular 4, but it's going to be a series of Modular 4 lectures, because we're going to be talking about the research paper, topics, the instructions for the research paper, what is sort of expected of you, and then also talk about sort of the first component of that research paper, which is the proposal, because that's going to be the thing that's going to be due soon. And it's really should be one of the easier assignments that you do all semester. I say that because the next component to the research paper is called the annotated bib. That's going to deal with those six scholarly sources that you're really going to need by then. That becomes a little bit more of a challenging assignment. Some may say it's a little bit more difficult than most. There is a sort of a pattern that you should follow, a format that you should follow, but we will talk a little bit about that when it comes. But we're definitely going to look at how to go about doing the proposal, which is really going to make sense after you looked at the research paper assignment sheet and have decided either one of those 6 topics I have listed, or you have came up with your own research paper topic. And if you do come up with your own, that's fine. I kind of just need to know what you're planning on doing before you really get into the proposal aspect of it, because I don't want you to start on something that sounds good sort of on paper, but when you really start going through the motions and doing the research, you can't find the sources that you're going to need for it. And you're not going to be able to get the 6 to 8 page length, excuse me, that the paper is required. So I'm going to share my screen. We're basically going to look at Blackboard. We're going to go down to Modular 4. So bear with me here momentarily. Should be able to see that now. So everything that you see right now as your grade, everything is up to date on the grades, up until, I guess, whatever the next quiz is. I'm going to talk a little bit about that here momentarily, and the proposal. So I'm going to have to send up midterm grades here directly, probably either later today or at least by the end of this week. If you are making a 70 or higher, you're probably not going to get any phone calls from any, counselors or anything like that. It's when you're making a D or lower is when you're going to start getting the email, the phone calls, the text, the snail mail, because they're going to be wondering, hey, we're basically 9, 10 weeks in. Why do you have a D or an F in this class? Because if we look, this is the week of the 16th. We go to the week of the 23rd. We go to the week of the 30th. We have spring break the week of April 6th. So besides really the rest of this week, we only got 2 more weeks in March. We go to spring break. We come back on the 13th of April. We have the 13th, the week of the 20th, the week of the 27th. So that's 1, 2, that's 3. So if you're technically counting this week, we basically only have 6 weeks, because there's only a little bit that we come in May, like the first 2 or 3 days, and that's it. So we only have about, depending on how you look at it, 5, 6.5 weeks left, which is not a lot of time. So that's all that we got left with this particular semester. So again, I offered 3 extra credit chances already. You need to check your email or your announcements to see those hyperlinks and see what you need to do. You need to follow those instructions if you want the extra credit. It's optional. You don't have to do it. Not forcing you to do it. A lot of people have done it, and they've have seen their grade increase over the last couple of weeks because of their, them doing that. So please take advantage of that. I really probably need to have all that extra credit done, before we go to spring break. So if we're looking at a date here, I would say you need to have all that extra credit, the first, the 3 that I sent out by April 6th. Because when we come back, we're only going to have about 3.5 weeks left. The other thing is that I mentioned in previous videos is I will drop one of your lowest quiz grades or one of your lowest peer reviews. Now, I know we got at least maybe 2 more quizzes. We may have another peer review depending on how time works with the research paper. But if you already know which quiz you want me to drop, or if you already know which peer review you want me to drop, just email me that particular item, and I can already make that happen, today or whenever you email it to me, because it's just basically going in there and dropping one. So if you're thinking of another extra credit, that would be sort of like extra credit 4. And that's pretty much all the extra credit we're going to be able to do, just because we got, at least five assignments left. So, don't come back and, ask on April 22nd, can I do any extra credit? I'm going to be like, well, did you do extra credit 1, 2, or 3 that I sent back, toward the end of February throughout the month of March? And, if you say no, and I'll be like, well, I mean, that deadline's already come and went. You're supposed to have all that stuff turned in by the 6th of April. Where were you at the last, 4 or 5 weeks? So please keep up to date with the deadlines, keep up to date with the announcements, your emails, because again, everything that I put on the announcements is going to your email. So you're getting it twice, right? So you can't come back and say, well, I never got that. Well, if I'm getting it twice, it's going to you twice. And a lot when it came to essay 3, right, the cause and effect, a lot of your those 10 points that you accumulated from the student survey helped a lot of people's grades too. So let's look here. Again, modular 4 is our last modular. It's the probably one of the longest because there's just so much stuff that we have to cover. As you can tell here, quiz 3 was due on the 15th. We do have another quiz. Quiz 4 is going to be due on the 29th, which is going to be dealing with punctuation. I think I put something out on your announcements about that. If not, you want to go to your e-text and read about all the punctuation marks. I think it starts like on page 255 and it goes through like 270. That's pretty much what quiz 4 is going to be about. Quiz 5 is going to be later, like toward the end of the semester. And that's going to cover really MLA documentation, stuff like the works cited page, how to quote, parenthetical citations, in-text citations, paraphrasing, summarizing. And we'll talk all about that as it gets closer to that particular quiz, which will be pretty much after spring break when we're going to talk a lot about that. Okay, so before we look at the proposal stuff, and if you look, the proposal is due this particular Sunday by 11:59, the 22nd of March. If you click on the proposal there, the drop box, you're going to see the proposal assignment sheet. I would recommend, as we go through, right, as you go from the proposal to start thinking about the annotated bib, because I will open that up after we get done with the proposal, because I don't want to get students sort of confused with this. To start looking at the guided library orientation, to start looking at the library service slideshows, because it's going to help you find 4 of your 6 scholarly sources, because you're going to need to go to either the college library to get your 2 scholarly books and 2 scholarly journal articles. If you're doing enrollment, you can go to your high school library if you think you're going to have good information there, or you can go to a public library. But 4 of your 6 sources needs to come from a library of some sort, whether it's public, high school, or college. The other two need to come, they can come from, internet sources, as long as they are academic and scholarly in nature, meaning anything .edu, .org, .gov would work. So let's look at the actual research paper assignment, and then we will come down and look at the proposal, because you're going to need to understand what you need to do from the actual assignment, because you're going to need to have a topic in mind to be able to do the research paper proposal assignment. So let's go ahead and click on essay 4. This is our last essay. It's going to cover throughout, pretty much the rest of our semester. You're going to be working on this. So I'm going to just blow this up. You need to use MLA9, right? We're still using the same format you did with the last 3 essays. Times New Roman size 12 font, double space everything, have a header, have a creative, interesting research paper title on the first page, centered. Don't boldface it. Don't put it in quotation marks. Don't, put a colon after it. Make sure that you have your last name and page number in each one of the top right-hand corner of each page. We will talk a little bit more about the works cited page. You're going to need to have the works cited page. That's going to have, at least the 6 sources that you're going to paraphrase, quote, and summarize throughout, the 6 to 8 page paper. So the length of this needs to be 6 to 8 pages plus the works cited page, or 1,500 words to 2,000 words plus the works cited page. The works cited page does not count toward words, and it doesn't count toward a page. You need to start the works cited page on a separate page, right? If you end your essay on page 8, the works cited page becomes page 9. If you end your essay on page 5, the works cited page becomes page 6. So sort of kind of keep that in mind. So the overview of the assignment, right? Because you're going to need to get at least 6 scholarly sources. We've been talking about that. 2 scholarly books from high school library, public library, college library. 2 scholarly journal articles. Library databases only would be probably the best bet there. They could be ebooks. They can be e-journal articles. If you go through that information about the library orientation and the slideshow to show you how to go about finding those 4 sources. And then 2 scholarly websites, right? Credible academic institution. Don't go, to somebody's blog page if they don't really have any expert testimony or any kind of degree in that particular field or whatever you're trying to, talk about in your research paper. Don't necessarily go down the street and interview old Joe there on the corner, because old Joe has his opinions, but his opinions may not be able to be credible, right? So just be smart about this. When we start talking a little bit more about the overview, it should start to make a little bit more sense about why you need to be objective with this, right? We're looking to be objective with this paper. This is not going to be a narrative research paper. This is not going to be a descriptive research paper. There's a lot of different ways you can approach this. It could be an argumentative paper. It can be a persuasive paper. It can be educational and informative. It could be a compare and contrast research paper. You can fall back and kind of do a cause and effect, pro and con, problem solution. But the key word is research, right? You have to integrate research sources into this particular paper. If you do not use research, right? If you don't use quotations from your sources, if you don't have a works cited page, if I don't see parenthetical citations and you using quotes or paraphrasing from each one of your 6 sources, then you're going to lose about 30 points of your overall grade at that point. Because again, keyword, research. It's not just a regular essay. Without the research, you're just writing a regular essay, and that's not following instructions. And you will lose, up to 3 letter grades if you go that way with it. So the overview. This research paper asks you to investigate something ordinary, a habit, object, behavior, or cultural phenomenon you encounter regularly, and uncover its more profound significance. The goal is to transform the familiar into something worth questioning, analyzing, and understanding through academic research. Your topic must begin with your own curiosity, right? You want to pick a research paper topic that you know a little bit about already, or you want to learn more about because you're curious about it. That's why I sort of give you the chance to pick your own essay topics in this course, because your interest and my interests are not going to be the same. Your interest and somebody down the road's interests are not going to be the same. So that's why I give you a little bit of freedom of choice there, a little bit of creativity. Again, if you don't like the 6 topics I provided here, please let me know before this Sunday what you're planning on doing, because really the proposal is sort of that green light to move forward with the next proponent. If you don't really do so well on the proposal, then I'm going to be asking the question, you probably want to pick a different topic, because really after the 22nd, whatever topic you have decided for your research paper, you are married to it until the end of the semester, because you don't want to do a whole bunch of flip-flopping, because that's where problems come up. Problems on your end more or less, because let's say you pick one topic A, and April 1st, you come back and say, well, I really don't want to do topic A. I want to do topic B. Well, guess what? You already did the proposal on topic A. You've already did, I hope, some research on topic A toward the annotated bib. So since you're changing topics now, you got to go back and redo a proposal for topic B. And you're probably going to have to go back and do a little bit more research, because topic A research is not going to help you with topic B. So you can see how that's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be time consuming on your part. And the flipping back and forth is not going to give you a really good grade as you move ahead. So that's why I say come March 23rd, whatever your research paper topic is after that proposal, that's the one you really need to do. And not, play around and keep flipping back and forth. You just don't have the time, and you're not going to have the patience as we move, into the very, end of March, and then we start, right? We only have 3 weeks when we basically come back from spring break. You want to connect to a larger cultural, social, historical, or scientific context, allow for credible academic research, lead to a clear, arguable thesis, right? You will formulate a research question, conduct academic research, develop a thesis, support your argument with evidence, analysis, and critical reflection. And these are 6 particular topics that I can guarantee you will find at least 6 scholarly sources, if not more. You should be able to get to easily the 6 to 8 page length that you would need. I'm not going to read all these topics because I know I'm not going to insult your intelligence. I know you know how to read, but you might want to go through and look at these 6 to see if there's something you would want to do. And again, if you don't like those 6 topics, that's fine. You need to choose something and let me know before you start the proposal, so I know that you're going to have enough to be able to do the actual proposal assignment. But at least go through and see what we have here. Your final paper should have a clear, present and clear arguable thesis, demonstrate critical thinking in depth, integrate research smoothly with your own analysis, obviously use the proper MLA 9 essay format, include a proper works cited page, be polished, proofread, and professional. Now, kind of keep in mind, this is what the big assignment is, right? You're going to need to pick a topic to be able to do the proposal. And if you scroll down and look, the annotated bib, which would be the second component of this assignment, is not going to be due until the 19th of April, right? So we're going to have a little bit of time before that one's due. The actual final draft of your research paper, when the whole 6 to 8 pages is due, that's going to be the 26th of April. So you have a big space of time to do this well. We're taking this in stages. Proposal is the first part, annotated bibs the second part, the actual research paper is the third part. Notice our last quiz, which is quiz 5, will happen on May 6th. We will talk a little bit more about that in the month of April. So let's look at the proposal because that's what you need to really focus on for this Sunday. So let's say you already have a research paper topic in mind. Okay, now it's time to do the proposal. Well, what's the proposal? This is the proposal. There's 3 questions that you really need to sort of answer here. And if you look, each one, these are going to be worth a good bit, right? The first one's worth like 34 points. The last 2 are worth 33 points. So you need to make sure that you're really getting a good idea. Let me see if I can blow this up here of what you need to do. So the first question, it says directions. After choosing your research paper topic from the Essay 4 assignment sheet, the one that we just talked about, respond to the 3 questions below. Write a short paragraph for each. Substantial but focused. Proofread carefully. Spelling and grammar do count. So I give you sort of a sample of what a student did in the past. Again, you're using the same MLA format. You're going to have your header. You're going to have a tentative title to your research paper. You're going to have your last name and page number in each one of these right-hand corners. And the answer to each one of these 3 questions becomes a paragraph. So the answer to question 1 is paragraph 1. The answer to question 2 is paragraph 2. And then the final paragraph answers paragraph 3. So it says thesis or research question or purpose. You want to state your thesis or main research question and explain why the topic matters. Why is it important to you? Why should readers care? What is the larger significance behind your research? How do you plan to support this research slash thesis slash research question, right? So give me a good, like it says here, a good meaty paragraph. 5 to 7 sentences should do enough, right? Should be enough. If you really think about your topic and think about what you're planning on doing. Now, again, I probably wouldn't wait until Sunday night to do this. You probably want to go ahead and kind of get a head start on this. If there's time, you can send me drafts of your proposal and I will tell you what you need to fix to get a better grade. But I probably need to see this stuff, before Thursday or at least before Friday's 11:59 at night. So I can give it enough time. I can get it back to you over the weekend, or at least hopefully before Sunday when it's due. Number 2, 6 scholarly. List 6 scholarly sources you plan to use. You do not need to read all of them yet, but you should have at least 3 reliable sources identified to show that your topic is researchable. So yes, I would say if you can't find all 6 right away, you need to find at least 3. So that could be 1 scholarly book, 1 scholarly journal article, 1 website. That could be 2 books and 1 website. That could be 2 websites and 1 scholarly journal. I need to know that you're actually taking the time this week and starting to look at least 3 of these sources you're going to need for this paper. Because when we get to the annotated bib, you're going to need to have all 6 sources, because of those 6 sources, you need to use all of those in your actual research paper. And number 3, plan of support and needed source types. Explain how you plan to support your thesis. Discuss your approach, the structure you're expected to use, the types of analysis you will rely on, and what kind of sources, data, interviews, articles, surveys, etc. will help strengthen your argument. So what I'm also looking at here is how are you going to structure your paper in the next 4 or 5 weeks? Are you doing a pro and con paper? Are you doing a problem solution paper? Are you doing argumentative? Are you doing persuasive? Are you doing a compare and contrast? Are you doing, cause and effect? I need to know more than, well, I have to write a research paper and use 6 sources. Well, we all have to do that, or you all have to do that. I need to know more than that, right, for you to get the full 33 points. And again, this really should be one of the easier assignments. you do this year. For some, it will be if you are prepared. For others, you may not, because really your grade's going to be either an A, depending on how, of course, the grammar and the spelling, um, a D, or an F. I mean, you may have something in between there, between a B and a C, of course, but it really should be something I'm hoping will give you a really good push and have that momentum to be able to move into the last sort of week of March, and you can start getting stuff together for the annotated bib and actually start writing the paper. So usually what I try to tell people, because again, depending on if you're dual enrollment or whatever the case may be, you may be going on a spring break. You may not be able to get a spring break due to work or whatever the case may be. But I would say this, if you don't want to do anything for this class the week of spring break, I would get everything caught up that you need to get caught up before April 6th. Because again, when we come back on April 13th, it's not going to be that long before that annotated bib is going to be due. It's not going to be long for that last quiz is going to be due. It's not going to be long for that research paper to be due. Because then we only have 3.5 weeks. And we don't have time to delay assignments. We don't have time for late work, right? I would say pretty much between now and the end of the semester, if you can't get your stuff in on time, just expect that you're going to get a 0. And not even try to ask for, hey, can I turn it in? I forgot. This stuff has been out there. It's on Blackboard. It's, on your syllabus. It's on the checklist. It's, in these videos. So, I mean, it's not like I just throw these dates up at a whim. A lot of this stuff has been up there since week 1. And if you actually read the syllabus and read some of the stuff throughout the Blackboard course, you would have known that back in January. So make sure that you follow deadlines. Make sure that you follow instructions. Again, don't be shy. Reach out if you need help. I can always help before something is due. It's kind of hard for me to help after I started grading stuff, right? And don't forget, if you haven't done the 3 extra credit opportunities, to get those in by April 6th, which is a couple Mondays from now. And let me know about which quiz or which peer review you would want me to drop if you want me to drop something right now. Now, you can wait until quiz 4 or quiz 5 if you want. I just want to try to, get that out there so I don't forget, because that's something I do for all my classes. I at least drop one of your lowest quiz or lowest peer review grades. I can't do both. It has to be one or the other. I can't drop a exam or a major essay, 'cause that's the bulk of your grade in the course. But I can drop one of the 5 quizzes or one of the 2 to 3 peer reviews we may have. All right. So I'm going to sort of leave it with that, because really we're getting to the point where there's not going to be a lot of new stuff. I mean, obviously, when we start talking about citations and quotations and paraphrasing and the works cited page, we will talk a little bit about that, because some of you may or may not know how to do that, or it's been a while. The annotated bib we'll spend a little bit of time on, but a lot of this stuff is going to be on you, especially when it comes to reading the 6 sources, taking notes on the 6 sources, right? Because you're going to want to lift out quotations that you want to use so you can directly quote, so you can paraphrase, so you can summarize. Because like I said, I have 6 courses at this point, and each one of these 6 courses is going to be doing a research paper. And I probably have nearly 70 students, give or take. So I don't have the time to read 70 students 6 sources. I mean, you can kind of tell how that will go. If there were 70 students, I'm just, doing that hypothetically, times 6, that's over 420 different sources I would have to try to read. And, I don't have the time for that. So you're going to have to Do a lot of this research on your own, obviously, because it is your research paper. But there again, don't hesitate not to ask. I can't read minds if you don't ask in a timely manner. Like I said earlier, I can help days before something is due. It's kind of hard for me to help when I'm already grading your assignment and you knew 2 weeks ago you didn't know what you were doing. All right. So I hope you have a good rest of your week. I will be back as it gets closer to start talking about the annotated bib assignment. Stay healthy because flu A is out there, flu B is out there. I think strep's going around, and I guess COVID is still lingering. I'm sure it doesn't help when we have these, hot, cold, rainy, and sunny weeks. That's been going on the last few weeks. So I hope everybody does well, is doing well in the other courses. Remember, if you plan on going summer semester, that you probably need to get in touch with your advisor or whoever signed you up for the spring so you can go ahead and start signing up for the summer course. Keep in mind, summer courses are only 9 weeks in length. That means if you're in person, it's going to be, a lot longer. You're going to be in class. You're doubling up a good bit of stuff if you're online, because we still have to cover at least 15 or 16 weeks worth of work into a 9-week course. The other thing is, if you're not doing too terribly well at this point in any course, not just this one, but any, because we started on roughly what? I want to say it was the week of the 12th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're week 10. You probably would want to go ahead and start doing a little bit of soul searching and think, especially if you're really low in the Fs, like 20 or 42 or 9 or whatever the case may be, you probably want to go ahead and just withdraw from that course. Because there's just no way you're going to be able to pull that grade up to a 70 or higher, especially if you haven't turned anything in. I've had folks in some of our classes that the only thing they've done is maybe the first thing on, the syllabus quiz, or they might have done the first paper. And then I haven't seen or heard anything else from them since, the end of January, 1st of February. So there's just, if you're not turning anything in, if you're just logging in just to see what you're supposed to be doing or what you missed, but you're not even making the effort to turn stuff in, then every time that we have something due, you're going to rack up a 0. And I can tell you now, if you have 3 zeros or more, you're probably failing the class with a 40 or lower. If you got more than 4 zeros, you're definitely failing. You're probably at, single digits, if not close to 0. And I can tell, really, if you got more than that, if you got 5, 6, 7 zeros, which I do have some folks that do have 5, 6, 7 zeros 10 weeks in, then you really should be in the negatives. We stop at 0, but you would be in the negatives if we went to the negative range here. And there's just no way you're going to be able to pull that up. 1, we can't make up stuff that needed to be, turned in back in February. 2, we don't have time to make up, right? We assume that you're a grown adult taking a grown adult college level course. So I'm not going to go back and hunt you down for assignments or hold your hand or babysit you. Either turn it in or you don't. Same thing looking forward, right? I got other classes I have to attend to grade. I don't have time to be hunting people down if they can't read or follow instructions of an assignment, or if they can't read and follow due dates. Not trying to be harsh, not trying to be mean about it, but we've had 10 weeks at this point, fixing to be 11. If you don't know what the deadlines are and what's expected of you for this class, then I don't know what to tell you. It sort of goes back to the format issue of essays. I still have folks that are losing easy points because they're not following the format that we looked at and talked about in week 1 and week 2. So if you can't format your paper correctly, just guarantee that you're probably going to lose at least a letter grade here on out. So that A is going to be a B, or that C is going to be a D. because that's the easiest thing that you can do. That, spell check and grammar check. You got a spell check, you got a grammar check with Microsoft Word. Some of y'all use a free version of Grammarly or whatever is out there. You're fine to use that. Just what we're not looking for is a copy paste plagiarized paper or an AI version of a paper. And I usually really check both of those during Modular 4, because if somebody's going to cheat, somebody's going to buy a paper or plagiarize a paper or use AI in the paper, they're going to do it on the research paper. And that's usually where some folks, it's a difference between passing the course with a 70 or higher or failing the course with a 69 or lower. So please do not plagiarize, do not buy a paper, do not use an AI for a paper, because at some point you will get caught. And you're not going to like the zero that comes with it, especially if you already have 1 0 going against you, right? Because each zero is like missing 20 points or 2 letter grades. All right. So until we talk again, which would probably be another week or so, again, stay healthy, be safe. Good luck in your other classes. Think about what you want to take for the summer if you plan on taking stuff for the summer. If you plan on taking the summer off, just make sure that you get all your paperwork and stuff in if you're planning on coming back in the fall. And I would be checking the schedule probably around the first week of June, so you can go ahead and start thinking about, when it's time to register for the fall, you're not having to wait to do that. Otherwise, have a great weekend, great week. Um, email me if you need any help, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good one.